Hey, everybody. I'm Joel with Coreware, and I've got Dan Peterson here with us. We're going to give it one more minute uh, to allow the stragglers to show up, just 1 minute. But hey, I want to bring this up. Dan, do you mind if I bring up where you were last week?
No, go ahead.
So Dan was in Colorado. Dan, why were you in Colorado?
So my daughter is a cadet fourth class at the Air Force Academy. So this was her first weekend off at Parents Weekend. So we had a chance to go visit her, my wife, and my other two daughters. So we flew out to Colorado Springs and got to partake in the opening football game, Air Force versus Robert Morris, and then as well as some of the tours and some of the festivals and air shows and all that kind of stuff. That's the academy. So it's really good experience.
So basically, Dan won the lottery. He won. You probably won about, I don't know, $200,000 if you think about it.
Are you talking the outkicking my coverage and
Uh,
marrying my wife too on that lottery? Because that
no. I'm
that
talking
one I
about
am
not
damn
having to
sure
pay
of.
for a. I'm talking about not having to pay for an Ivy League education.
Yeah, no, it's I mean she earned it, so I mean it's a
Yeah,
fantastic opportunity and honor and very competitive, and it's been experience learning through it of what it takes to get in there and the kids. It's pretty cool. So
yeah. That's a huge deal if you guys don't know. Like you get accepted to the Air Force Academy, you're not paying anything. Actually, like Dan said, you get a little bread and water money, right? Get a little bread and water money to actually attend. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
not a
the
bad.
cadets get
It's
they get a monthly stipend, but which is everything they need. They got to serve 5 years or 10 years on the backside, depending on what job they get. So I mean, they earn it and they get looked
right.
over a little bit, but it's a phenomenal opportunity. And like Joel said, it's basically an Ivy League education out of the deal. So
Yeah, really cool. And 10 years, man, a 10-year service contract is
yeah,
what, like 2 years in the Army? Maybe
yeah,
like
something like
45 minutes in the Marine Corps. I'm just joking. No service rivalry in this webinar. Um, so, hey, thank you, Pat. Congratulations, Pat said. This is really great. So, but that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about something that all of you probably are chomping at the bit to learn more about. Um, I'm only going to allow, not allow, sorry, uh, Army Dog. I'm going to ask that Dan kind of explain exactly what he's doing. What niche is he filling? Because if you guys have a shop, you may have one of those monstrous kiosks in your shop that's vacuuming up all of that data of your customers. It may be convenient for them, but there's some negatives to it, and I want Dan to explain what made him want to fill this gap that he saw, because I know there's a very interesting story to that. If you could, Dan.
so. The Cerberus LiveScan is a solution that helps do EFTs and customer management as well as some of the document prep for the eForm 4 process, as well as some paper processes. What Joel's alluding to is about 4 years ago, and I'm an '07, '02, so Peterson Farms is our functional retail side of it. We out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. So, and then Cerberus is the software that we've created to help shops and other FFLs to manage eForms, customers, and some of that document prep. So about 4 years ago, was selling silencers, trying to manage all of the paper forms and the 16 pages of paper e-forms and trying to figure out how to handle fingerprints and repeat customers. And finally reached out to Silencer Shop to actually buy a kiosk. And they told me they didn't want me because I was a home-based guy. So at that point, I was fairly pissed about it and I decided I could do this myself. So figured out what the specs were on the kiosk, what the hardware they were using, because if I was going to compete head to head with Silencer Shop, I wanted to be on the same platform and same specs so they couldn't ding the hardware. And then that took about a year and a half, 2 years to develop. And we launched Cerberus September of 21. We did the formal launch at SHOT Show 22, and then again at 23, we were there, and we're going back again 24. And probably have a little display inside of Coreware and a couple other spots, I think. So, and Allen Arms. So that's what started the whole piece of it, and it's been an evolution. Listening to the customers and growing as the business develops. So we've added paper form 4 capabilities, the mail-a-can type piece that Silencer Central and Capital are doing. So some of that functionality is in there as well. But the moral of the story and the biggest piece is that you own the data. So the shop owns that data. It's local on your machine. So if you want to do one EFT or 1,000 EFTs, it's the same thing. I don't get any of that data coming back to me, so I'm not going to market to your customers or go around you and your store. So as you get somebody in the shop, it's your data, and you're not having to worry about sending your data to somebody else, and then they're going to send it and market it to somebody else who's in the network. So that's the long and short of it, Joel.
So it was out of anger and spite.
A little bit of spite, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's usually where most great things come from, is a little spite and anger. Like, hey, I can do this better. So tell me, Dan, before we get into, because I know you've got some practical things that you're going to show us. If you could go on and share your screen, by the way, just so we have that up, makes it easier for the final product, if you know what I mean. Also, you're going to tell us what exactly is the difference is. Like, we know that there's some pretty big names that do similar things in regards to suppressors. Exactly what are you doing differently, and why is this a good thing for our customers?
So highlighted on the data piece of it, right? So that's the huge piece between, say, the kiosk, right? The kiosk, that data is going up, and anyone who is a silencer shop dealer can basically access that. So even though you spend $6,000 on a kiosk, that data is going up into silencer shop, and end of the day, silencer shop only cares that silencer shop at the end is getting that sale. So if you are going to source from anywhere else besides silencer shop, you're going to have to pay those guys to put it into their system, and the privilege and honor of using their autofiller type pieces. With that, the autofiller that we have can be done about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, as compared to the 5 to 7 days where it takes silencer shop to prep the document and forms. So you don't have to handle that product 3 or 4 times. You sell it here. I'm going to put it in pending, and I'm going to put it in the vault. On a kiosk, that's about a 5 to 7 day process, depending on how fast they are, because you got to sell it, they got to prep it, you got to certify it, and the customer's got to certify it, and then it's in the vault for the ATF wait time. So that's a big piece of it. The other large name like PrintScan or Fulcrum, they're fingerprint companies with the channeling, and they're trying to do FFL stuff. So they don't understand how the eForms process works. They don't understand the data that's required, what an RPQ form is, any of those type pieces. And then EFT Creator, they make an EFT, and that's it. So they don't do any of the documentation or prep work, any of the autofiller type pieces. So those are the 4 main suppliers that are out there. We're an FFL. I use this system, built the system, so I understand the pain points of being an FFL and how to handle the documentation and the process.
Okay. I do have a question that's going to be way off topic. The emails that you send me, it's a Peterson Farms. Can you tell me why I'm getting? Are you a farmer, Dan?
No, it started with we bought about 7 acres when we moved in, and there was a large barn on it. So it was kind of the joke with that. My parents were farmers as they grew up, and descendant type pieces. So there's a little bit of play too on the firearms or farms type pieces, and then came up with the Cerberus name. So now it's kind of stuck. So it's the retail side, the 0702 is under Peterson Farms, and then the software is under Cerberus.
Now, can you tell us what Cerberus is? Because I know there's a lot of confusion on what that. First off, how to pronounce it. Secondly, what it is.
So it's the mythical dog that guards the gates of hell. So the play on it is kind of, I envisioned multiple pieces of this as I went forward, as well as kind of a little bit of guardian and protecting your data and protecting your business a little bit. So that's where the play of it was. The boss, Susan, honestly thought it was a dumb name, but now it's stuck, and I kind of like it. So
Yeah, Cerberus. I mean, I don't feel comfortable saying it. Well, I'm getting to the point where I am now comfortable saying it, but it took me a week or two. You know what I'm saying? Where is that Sir? You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm a little lower on the
right.
evolutionary ladder.
I could put it in crayon for you, Joel, if you really do.
No, we're good. We're good. So I see you've got your screen pulled up, and I want to cover this real quick. We're lightly watching the chat here. We're gonna have Travis, come on, man. we're going to have a Q&A at the very end. So as you guys know, the only thing I don't like about Riverside is the fact that their chat, you can never scroll up and track anything because it just keeps feeding. So we're going to wait till the very end, and Dan will be taking questions. If I see something really quick, I'll be able to help out, but it's probably going to be at the very end of the presentation here. So Dan, what are you going to show us? Can you take us through?
Yep.
First off, who are we talking to? We're talking to shop owners, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to be able to do with shop owners, and what are we looking at right now?
So this is the main screen of Cerberus when you open it up. So you're going to have your listing of customers all in here. I'll highlight this real fast. This print FD258 to answer, looks like Spencer and David's question. Yes, this will create PDFs that can print down onto the FD258 8x8s, or you can do a full page on cardstock and trim it out. So it depends on your local municipality if they'll accept hard cards. And if so, we can work on some of the ORIs and some of the coding to make that all work. I have some set up for Arizona and some other places that have been working with them. So, but hopefully that answers those questions quickly. This is the main screen. So your listing is here. This is a searchable piece. So if I wanted to search for my name, I could find that as you get more people in here. If a new person walks in the door, and once you get used to it, you should be able to take a new client in the door, get fingerprints, handle the checkout, and then handle the submittal in about 30 minutes. First time probably gonna be 45 minutes to an hour. We got some guys that they have dedicated compliance employees. They're down to about 15 to 20 minutes in the front door and a submittal. So once you get used to it, it can go. So new customer walks in. We're gonna click on new. This is the demographic screen. I got just a barcode here. That would be the back of a driver's license. The system ships with a scanner, and we just scan this. And it'll pull the data off the back of the driver's license. Once it gets done spinning, we can push it down, and it eliminates some of the keystroke errors. So what is not on a driver's license is county. That's needed for a couple of the integrations. If you're not using it, you don't necessarily need it, but we can put something in here. Weight is not on this Wisconsin license plate or a driver's license, so I got to put it in, but it depends on the state and what version it is. Social, you can put social in, or if the customer doesn't want to give the social, you would click no social, and it'll fill it with zeros. Put in hometown or place of birth, sorry. And then from here, we configure what the hand looks like. So up on top, you can see there's a depiction of the hand. If I click one time, it'll be an amputation. If I click a second time, it is a scar or bandage type situation where it's not permanently gone, but we just can't get it today. And then from here, we would start the acquisition. This takes us to the fingerprint scanner, which is basically a 6x6 cube sitting right next to me on the computer on the desk here. So the space is really not that much. I got a 6x6 cube. I got the fingerprint. I got the barcode scanner. I have a small signature pad over here. Another piece of our system compared to a couple other brands, it gives you the real-time feedback of all the fingers. If you notice that flip through, I'm going to smuck this one a little bit so you can get some feedback. So these are saying on the bottom, it tells you that it is the incomplete pattern. So it's telling me that it's a good print by the scorer, but it's saying it's not perfect and it goes. So far, we've seen as long as these scores are yellow or green, it is a good print and it will produce a stamp on the backside. Another brand only gives you the entire box saying good or bad print. It doesn't tell you which ones are bad. So that's a differentiation from us to say print scan. And we can always, I can either redo it up top here or I can accept it. So I'm going to put this one in. Then we do 2 thumbs together as opposed to single thumbs. And that's just a speed thing. And if you'll notice, these are blipping through.
So you're doing this live. I want people to realize that this is not like a slideshow. You're actually doing this.
Yeah, no, I'm doing it. So thumbs, another differentiation from the kiosk. They're behind a version or 2 on the core. So if I push down, it's going to zoom in and I can see the roll, as opposed to the previous firmware on this thing. You had to kind of guess where the finger was going to be and you could roll off. So this one, it'll zoom in and give you feedback on it. What the
Oh,
red is, what the red is, and the feedback on here is basically where the pattern is incomplete or where it thinks it should be a pattern. But again, end of the day, as long as this IFIS, this top score is yellow or green, it's a good print. So I'm gonna put that one in. And if you notice, I can start kind of anywhere and it's gonna zoom in for me. So I'm gonna start on the side here a little bit. And so it helps you center just from a speed standpoint, and it goes through. And the acquisition is just that. And we'd go through all 13 images here. I'm gonna break out of this just to show the rest of it. So it's gonna take, once I get done with all the prints, it goes back to the demographic page here. I can see what I did. So let's say I don't like this one. I can retake it. And I'll do all 4 fingers again. And if you notice, now that print changed. So I can, and the same thing on the rolls. I only put a couple of these in here, but I could say, oh, I don't like this one. I can retake it and go. So from, say, like Fulcrum and Print Scan, this is basically where they end. You have demographics and you have prints. So because, again, we're FFL side of stuff, we have the other tools in here. So there's a signature piece, comes with a signature pad. We can, come on. We can do the signature pad on here and then capture that. I can save that signature. There's also an onboard database that we build that saves all of your Clios. Most guys are using 4 or 5 counties they serve, or they're doing state patrol, but once you have it in here, it's a simple little interface, make edits and changes, add and save it. Customer email. And this should be what they have in their eForms, because that's one of the things that for the validation pieces, you need that. Customer phone number as well. And then from here, this would be all I would need to make an individual submittal, the demographics and the prints, and I can make the EFT. So I'm going to click here. There's a validation piece on. There's a hard stop on some of these things that do not allow you to go forward unless you have the accurate right. So, but it'll make the EFT and store it. Photo piece, I can either capture off of my webcam, and if I do it now, it's going to be a little goofy because I'm using the webcam for the webinar here. But I can import a photo. Probably should have proofed this a touch, but it's got the passport template in here. I can drag that around. I can crop it, rotate it, and that's my bride that I'm out kicking my coverage on, and my daughter that is at the Air Force Academy. So, but I can save that photo just like that. Okay. If you're doing trust work, so this will generate the RPQ. So I can pick from my list of trusts. I can edit them on a very similar user interface. I can import the PDF of the trust because we have to upload that PDF into eForms, and it's got some compression tools in here. Because if you've used eForms at all and try to upload a large trust, i.e. 4 or 5 megabytes, it's going to freeze and die. So this will help compress it down to less than 3 megabytes. And it'll help load that. The client would answer these questions for us, right? So these are all the questions on the RPQ form, the 5320.23. And I can type in my firearm that I'm going to sell. So my model, oops, sorry. And I can do a data validation. Oh, it tells me no trust has been selected. So I'm going to pick a trust. Now I have to confirm it. One of the check boxes is not, oh, too many no's. So again, it helps you make sure you get the data right. I'm going to make the RPQ. And then I'm going to show you what I just made. Popped up on the screen. So this is the RPQ that we just created. For a Form 4, I can do Form 1 or Form 4, ethnicity, the silencer data that we need, my Clio, the questions that the client answered, the signature, and today's date. So you can build those RPQs in real time. For the integration side of things, where'd it go? There it is. Okay. So I have Coreware connected on here. So inside of Coreware, this should look familiar to people. I have customers. I have these 3 customers. And then on my bound book, I have just a couple items that I'm testing with. So a dead air and a silencer code. So if I go to here and I load everything, it's going to pull down that silencer code and that dead air. So I can simply click on the one I'm going to use, and I'm going to send it down to Cerberus. And just like that, I have the inventory. So I can make it that way. So that's one of the benefits of the integration. I can pull a customer in. I can also, if you start in Cerberus, you can send the customer into your customer list inside of Coreware. And then the other side that we're working through some details on how the sequencing is going to work. But at the eForm autofiller, at the end of that, we can mark it as a pending sale or suspended sale for the Coreware terminology. So that way you don't pick it again. And that way you have some confidence that you're selling the can to the right person and not selling it twice. And I'll show you that.
I didn't preface this, but yeah, we're going to be integrated. I mean, that's the whole reason we're kind of doing this webinar. I should have prefaced everything with that, Dan. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, this is really exciting for us as well, because again, there's got to be other Dans out there that have been treated like Dan was, that caused him to have that anger and spite to go out and do this anyway. So now we want to bring that, that benefit, that let him have the heart attack and not you guys. So, so now we're all good.
All right. So the last piece I have here is what takes the other guys about 5 to 7 days. I'm going to show you how to do it in about less than 10 minutes if eForms is playing ball. So I'm going to pick my client. I'm going to launch the autofiller. So this is automation built around the eForm 4 site. I'm waiting for this to load, but oh, here it is. So I'm going to log in. Inside shop settings, we save our login data. So again, you can set up a shop account that's not necessarily the super user account, and we can log in. And again, this is my account live. So I'm gonna make a new form 4. I pick my FFL. Come on. We skip this one because there's usually nothing there. I can do trust or individual. I'm gonna do trust today. And I'm gonna click on this button on the bottom here, this transfer trust. And it's gonna blow in that data. I can then review it and make any changes if I need to. I have to add a responsible person. So I click on this RPQ button that pushes all that data in. And then I can review it again. So, and then from here, I'd upload that 5320.23 that we made. I'd upload the EFT that's an organized by client folder, and then the EFT that I made. So those 3 things go up and in. And then I'm going to save and close that. Click on the Clio train stop. I can push in the Clio, and that's done. From here, I'd add my firearm. And if I was doing the trust side of stuff, I'd browse for that trust. Say it's a trust, call it a trust, and I'd upload that document. From there, I am verification, and then submit and pay. So what takes the other guy 5 to 7 days, you can do in your shop under your control in about 10 minutes. So
that's worth it by itself. That's worth it, right? That's like, you got to wonder what takes the other guys so long.
I have no idea. So, but the other part of it is that, you're not starting and stopping, right? You have that can at the counter. You got the customer right there. They can go through it with you. They can review the data with you, and you can submit it right there. And the customer leaves your shop knowing it's done, and the clock is already ticking.
Right.
as opposed to, hey, I bought this a week ago. What the hell is going on? I thought it went in. So, um,
Wow.
and then on the back side, once you have the submittal done, again, I have the same screen and submit integration here. So I can get all my Coreware customers. I can pick that it's going to me. I'm going to do that silencer code, and I'm going to grab that silencer code, and I'm going to mark it as disposed or a pending suspended sale. So this piece we're still working through a little bit on the backside, but that's where it's going to go. So that way you know it is not available for something else. So, and then if that's Eric Anderson, here's your Form 1 database that's coming. So I got this working, so you can work on that. And then on the Form 1 side of stuff, there's a Firearm button here to help push in and store that stuff. And there's a couple options I'm still debugging, but it's almost ready. If you have multiple trustees on a trust, I can go here and I can grab, I can either grab it by trust or I can grab it by trustee's name. So say I want the entire list of individuals on, I think that one, yeah. So this lists all of my trustees. I can pick that one and I can then set this to what's currently in the buttons on the bottom. So again, large, complex, or high volume stores, this helps with the organizing that trust piece as well. So you can literally log, the system, Cerberus will log who is a member of the trust as you go. And then that piece can be edited here. So if I click on this, I can add or remove trust members here and work through some of this stuff as we go. Last piece is, oh, shop data is not right. This is one of my test systems, or this is my test system. So there's some things are not all fully quirky. But another big benefit and differentiator between us and the other guy, you participate in the revenue on the trusts. So we have a partnership with 199. We sell these at a discounted rate, and you should be able to make about 35 to 40 points on that sale. So you would fill in the trust data here, and then any of the black question marks across the program will hover over, and you can, it gets a little bit more information, but you can put in this. There's some validation pieces in here as well, and then you send it off to 199, and about 30 minutes later, they'll send you back a 12 to 13 page trust document that would need to be printed, signed, and notarized. But then you charge your customer what market value is in your area. Most people are charging between $90 and $100 for this piece of the service, and they're making, again, about 40%. So
That's not bad.
yeah.
Free money is always good.
Well, and also customer service, right? Because it's a one-stop shop, right?
Right.
You know what you're doing. You project the air of confidence. I know how to do this process. I can do your fingerprints. It's all local. I can do your photo. I can do your trust, and I can help you manage that trust piece. And it's all one-stop shop.
So I'm seeing some questions here. Actually, let me go back up to the question from, I'm sorry, it skipped on me here.
Yeah, so they're asking about the annual fee. So the system ships with the first year of service and support and maintenance included. Anything I develop and roll out is inside that, and basically it's a file server access, and it goes out that way. After that first year is $475. I'm talking to Ezra, Aaron, and we may change that model a little bit for the Coreware users, but we're still working through some of the details with that.
Okay, yeah, that answered Mark. There very well could be a discount. We're just in the stages now. To be perfectly clear, this is imminently close to being ready to launch.
Yes.
Like imminently close. So we're not talking months. We're talking maybe days, weeks, maybe. So yeah,
there's a couple little handshake things that we got to sort out on the backside, but I have it working to what you see here. I'm missing the insert side, and I'm missing a little bit more of the customer data pull, because if I go in here, I can pull a customer that's currently on board with you. Whatever data is in Coreware, I could pull in, and then on the FFL tool side of stuff, I can send this client to Coreware if you're going to create it that way. It depends on how your workflow is and what what your shop business rules are, but we can get it one way or the other. Depends on what works in your workflow.
Right. Man, that's awesome. Let me ask you this. Can you tell me if you've gotten any kind of pushback from the industry in regards to, hey, why are you stepping on our toes? Or is there any drama? Has anybody, threatened you,
Well,
Dan?
no, well, so SHOT Show 2022, I had the CEO of Print Scan in our booth about every day to figure out who the hell we were. So Tom is a really good dude, and he actually came by, and we have a little bit of a bake off. If I can pull this over, we got a little bit of a bake off on our website about features and which one does, which one doesn't type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom was like, "Hey, I don't mind competition, but you got to be fair about this." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, some of those red X's aren't accurate." I'm like, "All right, man, let's pull it up right now and let's fix it." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we went down, and it was Tom and his lead programmer, and I was like, "Does it do this?" And he's like, "Well, no, I guess no. Yeah, that's accurate. No, that one should be a check." Okay. So I went down through that. And then the other piece I knew I was making a little bit of headwinds is right after SHOT Show, the kiosks were on sale it was $5,800 with like $2,800 in store credit. So of MSRP credit, if you bought a kiosk within a month after SHOT 22.
Wow.
Currently, I know Print Scan is not coming back to SHOT Show 2024 as of about 2 weeks ago when I looked last. Fulcrum has not come back since we opened, and I work at Fulcrum Biometrics is our supplier on the devices. So like I work with
Right.
them, a really good relationship, and it's been kind of like they're going to go after the LE stuff, and I'm going after the FFL stuff, and we
Right.
kind of have that handshake going on. So no other real interactions to note.
So everything's looking promising for just not your process, but your company as well, huh?
Yeah, no, it's been a hell of a lot of fun, and we've made a lot of, for those that signed up early with us, this looks night and day different from what it was because we listen to the feedback, I monitor the errors, I get anonymous error messages on some of the fatals when they happen, and I try to fix them. So, and then as guys come up with ideas or business uses that I'm not fully doing, again, I can reference. I think one of the guys on here. They do a lot of paper form 4 and paper form 1 type stuff. So we built that generator to help facilitate their business model a little bit too. So, and that looks like this. I can pull that up too. So I can do the mail-a-can piece, which is that memo that you send out to the client's local law enforcement that allows you then about 7 or 10 days later to mail that silencer right to them once the Form 4 is approved. And then depending on what you're using for a bound book, it will create the Form 4 header. It'll put the serial number on it and the client's name. It won't put anything else on there, but it'll put that so you can have them fill out and complete that document. And then the Form 4 side of stuff, we can do we can generate this and fill this out. And again, same integration pieces. I can pull in those items from inventory if you have them in your bound book. So, but this initially was not something that I had planned on rolling out, but it was a need from the user base, and it was something that they wanted to see to help speed up their process, as opposed to key punching in that 16 or 14 page Form 4 as they facilitate some individual to trust transactions or trust to trust, and I got to fix that one piece. So that's what I got for that side of it. And yeah, Eric, I appreciate it. So yeah, and this is again, I got that database piece on logging the Form 1 is almost ready to go. I gotta do a couple more tests to make sure it's the database update works when I roll it out, so I don't munch anything. So. Initial training, yeah. So I have happy to help out whatever makes the most sense. But inside of the downloads, there is numerous PDFs that actually walk you through the overall process. And then I have about a dozen videos in here that show small bite-sized nuggets of the process of how it works and how to go through a transaction. But also more than happy to hop on a screen remotely and walk you through, show you what it looks like, as well as if you have a retail clerk or desk staff that need training with it, happy to set something up, for a half hour, whatever. So. Let's see here, referring to the sports side, handled personally by you or new accounts. Yeah. So, Peterson Farms is a small business. It's me, my wife, and my 3 daughters, one of which is out at Colorado Springs. So they help with all the packing, shipping, and miscellaneous. And then the support is pretty much done by me. So work around that. For the most part, though, what I've seen is getting guys set up takes about a half hour to an hour type piece to get everything kind of going and working. And after that, I don't really hear a ton from them. So it's fairly intuitive, left to right type pieces. The messaging I try to make so that it's intuitive to your staff if they're missing something or it's not what you want it to be. So I don't really hear a ton of issues besides, hey, could you do this or can we add this type feature type piece. So, but yes, the support is me. So appreciate that, Dwight. Let me scroll up here a sec. What else is in here in the miss? Support side, handle personally, yes. Yeah, no, appreciate it, guys. We've worked hard at that, and I know if you're calling me, something's not working the way it should, and 9 times out of 10, it's with a customer in front of you. So I try really hard to get back to you as soon as possible, but I also try really hard to make sure that it is not an issue. So I try to make it as foolproof and user-proof as possible. There's still always something, especially as I roll out new pieces, and you'll kind of see I got beta on a couple of these things. So there may be issues with it, but for the most part, as we've gone in the last basically 2 years now, I try really hard to make sure that what I put out is solid and near bulletproof to the best of my ability and knowledge. Brian, I would love if you can figure out how to crack that nut. Identigo has some unbelievable contract and leverage in the states they're in. So I have tried it in Texas and Maryland, and where else did I inquire? I think Ohio. I have no idea how to crack that nut. So if there is something there, would love to be able to do it. Yeah. So Eric, once the EFT is made, it's a file. So for the most part, I don't recommend selling it because once you sell it, you don't have any reason for that customer to come back besides customer support. So what I usually encourage people to do is have them come in back to the shop. They log into their eForm account. You upload what you need on the couple forms they have, and then either charge them or Goodwill or just sell them something while in the shop. But again, it's your shop, your business. I'm not going to tell you how to run it. Just recommendations. Another piece that some people have asked and talked about is gun shows. So there's people that because the system is pretty small, pretty lightweight. It's just that 6x6 cube, the signature pad, or you can use a touchpad and a laptop, your laptop and a barcode scanner. You can take it. So numerous people and numerous clients are using it at gun shows to process those sales right there, have it uploaded and done. As opposed to sell it to them at the gun show, and there's no chance of you wheeling a kiosk for the guy to come back in the shop and get it certified, and in most part to a gun show. So, real talk. Where do I go from here? I'm ready to sign up. Look forward. Okay, I can put. Let me put my website in the chat here. So that's a link to our website. So there's a shopping cart piece there, and you can check out, and that feeds my back office, and we'll get it shipped out today, actually. So the post office closes at 5 by me. So anything that comes in today will get shipped out right away and get it out. And then if we stock out of what we have, it'll be about a week and a half, 2 weeks before I get the next batch out, and I'll ship them out as soon as I get them. So.
Dan, can you hear me?
I can. You're back.
I am so sorry. I have no idea what happened. Literally everything crashed. And I'm like, I don't even have my rifle ready. I'm like, it's starting. I am so sorry, man. I couldn't get back online. I mean, my internet crashed, but nothing worked. It's sort of like, what happens right before you're attacked, Everything starts flickering. I am so sorry. Hey, it looked like you carried on though. So hopefully I didn't leave you in too big of a bind.
No, you're good. So
Okay.
So Joe, yeah, your order actually went out this morning. It came in while I was out in Colorado Springs. I apologize. Typically I ship it the same day. But yeah, that actually went out yesterday, and I was prepping for this, so I didn't send out the tracking number, but right after this, I'll get it out. Pre-existing fulcrum. So I may or may not have a fulcrum database that I'm trying to crack open. So there is working through some technical data on that. So once I have that cracked, I will let those know. But I'm talking to a couple guys that have a large volume of fulcrum biometric system, a large client base in them. So I'm trying to figure out how to work through that piece. So. I'll give you another one to play with.
Any other questions? I noticed that you have a lot of people in here that a couple of people already use the system. I think that's really cool. They were pretty excited to educate everyone in the chat.
There's a lot of buzz about the Coreware integration piece. So they're already Coreware users and trying to figure out how the whole thing's going to work together. So there's some buzz and excitement about that, and then there's some new ones here too. So Maryland is the Identigo piece. So if that's what the question is referring to. So Maryland for direct submittal is Identigo shop. So if you're trying to do CCW type stuff in Maryland, Identigo is the one that has a contract, and we have not found a way around it yet. So, but on the same token, neither has Print Scan, neither has Fulcrum. So, is there any? So to Joel's point from before, this thing scrolls when people put new. So, yeah, you still can use it for Form 4s, absolutely. Is there any other questions that I'm missing here? If we missed a question, if you want to retype it, because every time a new one comes in, the Coreware integration piece. So open this one back up. So the most realistic use case is going to be here. So on the RPQ, the 5320. So this would be, I can grab Coreware Firearm and I can push this down. So I pick from my available inventory that's not on a suspended sale and push that down, and then that speeds that silencer. And that'll speed this piece up. So that's one piece of the Coreware integration. And then the other one, the other large use case will be on the autofiller when this comes up, is on this integration side here. So I can search for a customer, can pick myself, and I'm going to do that Omega, I think it was. I can put that in, and then I can hit dispose, which would make a suspended sale in Coreware. So those are the two large use cases for the integration. There's some other pieces I'm working with Aaron and Ezra on, some tracking pieces and what state the transaction is in. So does it have an EFT? Does it have a trust? Has the trust been uploaded, etc.? And we're working through some of those status pieces. That's going to be some more features of it as we go. And then I guess the last piece, if somebody walks in the store and they're already a customer, you can grab it from here and it'll populate, or I can push it to Coreware if I'm starting in Cerberus. So you can get it from one side or the other based on how your workflow is. So
Hey, Dan, will the software continue working without the yearly updates?
Yes. Yep. So you own it. It's a perpetual license. It just I cut off the server access for the additional information, the updates as well as the PDFs and whatnot. So, but yeah, the software is yours. It's on your machine. It'll still run. But if Windows changes, if ATF changes, etc., then that's what the miss is. So, and it's it's honestly it's twofold. So if the guys that remember Gunsmoke and Secure Outcomes, that owner passed, and then the business had no value to it, residual. So those 100 some users were stuck, and eventually the system began just degraded out. So there's some inherent value then to the business to keep it going, as well as it keeps me honest and keeps me developing. So my goal is when it comes time for the annual renewal, it's a non-issue. You're making money. You're enjoying what's coming out of it. You appreciate the service and support, and it's a non-issue when it comes time to renewal. So.
I will be sending out a recording of this. Depending on Dan's portion should be fine. I don't even have to be here. Dan, I should have just said, dude, you run with it. So yeah, we will be putting that out. Hopefully I'll have that done in the next 3 or 4 days. Can you pick the suspended sale type, Dan?
Yes, there's going to be.
It does not generate.
There's some pieces here that I gotta hammer out with Aaron and Ezra on that suspended sale, suspended transaction piece. So yes, there will be the ability to pick those pieces, and we're gonna make it the most useful. So I am not a
Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once it's done, you and I can get together again and maybe put together a expedited demo for everyone that's going to be doing this. So yeah, we'll have, and Dan can really do a solid tutorial on how to run all this, because this is basically we're just lightly touching the surface in this webinar.
Something about the map. Yeah. So once I send out the installation details that creates the user key and creates the input on the map, I update the map. Yep. So within a half hour of me sending that email out, I update that Cerberus map, which has right now about 230 on it. So if anyone's wondering what that looks like, that's this thing here. And I got one I got to fix. So you can see where we have units right now and what's going on.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, Linda had a question.
Oh.
I skipped. Can you clarify the piece where you said you dispose of the item to make a suspended sale?
Yeah, so
you may have already done that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit. That's okay. So, but just to double hit it, yeah. So it's intended to be that it would make a suspended sale, and then that inventory piece would not show again when you look for another firearm. So it's gone. Can't look at it from the Cerberus side, so you can't sell it twice effectively. So that's the intent and hope behind that. So sale does not create. Yeah, correct. Yep. Yeah, I was talking to Eric a little bit this morning about it. So, and again, some of it's a little bit of terminology because I'm not a full blown Coreware user. I can navigate a little bit, but I'm not fully using it yet. So.
Right.
It would not.
But it isn't disposed of in CoreStore. Okay.
Correct. It would mark it as a suspended sale, a suspended transaction, which would kind of flag that serial number, so it couldn't be picked for another transaction. That's the intent behind it. So. And yeah, so it doesn't make a 4473. It doesn't make all kinds of extra noise and hassle. So you guys don't have to like check it, uncheck it, some other stuff. I want to make it as clean and as user friendly as possible that works into the workflow that you guys typically have. So. Can you go over the ROI and trust service offering again, please? Okay. So the trust generator piece, and this is flagging that I don't have the phone number in the shop. So, because again, demo system. So this screen right here will generate a full-blown perpetual type trust, not a single shot. So you can sell this to your customer. It'll create it. And it also, this trust side and data here will go into that database drop down so you can select it where you're going. So how I have it pitched on one of my flowcharts is customer walks in, they want to buy a trust from you. You start here, you put in their trust name and data and address, and you put in their settler and successor beneficiary type pieces. And again, any of the question marks will show you additional information. Send that out to 199 through this button down here, this pay and submit. I charge the shop, and then about 25 to 30 minutes later, 199 will email you back a PDF that will can be signed. It has to be printed out, signed, and notarized. And then from there, we have to scan it back in. So that ballpark, you should be able to sell, depending on market, for between 90 and 100. Some places are getting more. So, and then that's about a 40 points, 40% return on those fees. So, oh, Brian wants the flow chart. Okay, I can show the flow charts. So that's that side of it. The other piece from an ROI standpoint, there's the customer service piece, and you own the data side of it, so you can take care of your customers. You don't have to touch that can 2 or 3 times as it goes through the other guy's process of 5 to 7 days to create, prepare forms, and certify type pieces. So repeat sales are minutes, because you can kind of do them in between other activities. Customer would come back in, answer some of those questions, sign, and then submit, right? So once you have them in, repeat sales are almost free. You asked about the flow charts. Pulling them up over here. So say we're going to do a trust. So this is the entire process, eForms and Cerberus, all the way through of how to do a submittal on a trust. So that'll take you through it. So Brian, that's what it is. This is a great reference for your retail people that aren't maybe doing it as often. But again, it gives you the confidence that this is the process, and there's a lot here, but it also walks you through the process. And we got some other ones on here on some other pieces as well. Let me see, pull up another one here. So like the trust generator. So this will walk you through the trust generator process, the 199 that's built into it. So that's that. Joe asked about the payment plan. So we've done some payment plans for some people. Basically 5 payments at 600, and we ship after the 4th payment is made. So that makes it a little bit easier sometimes for people to get in, but it's really just breaking it down type pieces. So Mark, did that answer your question on that? Yes. Yeah, all cans, you can't select it from inside of eForms until it is in inventory. So the eForms process, I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with it, but the eForms process, that inventory is what is on the NFA registry assigned to your EIN. So you can't fully process it until you have it in hand. You could start it and save it as a draft and come back to it, kind of double touching it, but if that's how your workflow works and makes sense, you could start it and wait for that can to show up in inventory and be received, and then you could finish and publish, or finish and submit the draft form for. So there's no coupon codes right now. So, but the only sales I've done is at SHOT Show, and it's a negligible amount. So. Yep. Can't blame a guy for asking. So we got about 6 minutes left on the allotted time. Is there any other questions out there? Not seeing more. And again, if we missed one and it scrolled past it, I wasn't skipping it or avoiding it. Just I can see about 8 questions at a time. So if something came in and we didn't answer it right away, please by all means ask, and we'll try to answer it. So Joel, there's a couple questions about, will the presentation be available?
I sure hope so. Hey, I just noticed when I came back, I'm looking and my video is not even uploading.
So mine is.
So
I don't know
that's
where it's
yeah,
going.
that's why I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying not to be part of the webinar so that I can just use whatever it is that you're talking about, so it doesn't look awkward. That's why I've kind of been silent and typing support for Riverside. Guys, this is crazy. How I don't get it. I really don't get it. But you're doing great. Just continue.
Okay. A couple questions about when the next version is going to be available. I'm hoping, honestly, by the end of the week here to get some pieces out specifically on that trust database stuff and that Form 1 firearm piece. That's basically ready to go. I got to confirm a couple things before I roll it out. And then there's still a couple pieces on the back end I got to work out with Aaron and Ezra on the Coreware side. But for the most part, it's ready to go. It's just some finer details and some handshake pieces that we got to sort out. So, what else is up there? Question: when working without updates, recorded. Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing any other questions out there.
So how would you like to end this? Because I basically nuked it. Would you like to would you like to end it in a, yeah, I don't know, spectacular? Would you like to rescue me, Dan?
Are you gonna sing the Marine Corps hymn? Is that what I heard?
Awesome. To the shores of Tripoli. No, I'm not, but I will eat a crayon.
So if
It's lunchtime anyway, huh?
I'll re-put the website in here. Is there on the bottom. There's a spot to ask some more questions if you wanna add on to the mailing list or get some other details, or if you want a one-on-one type demo. More than happy to set that up as well. And then for the existing customers, you'll get a blast here. I'm hoping in the next by the end of the weekend, honestly, that we'll talk about some of the releases and what's going on with that. You may see, if you see on my screen, I got 154 running. So 153 is the most recent available on the server, but I need to test a couple pieces before I roll 154 because there's some database changes and I really don't want to screw that up. So, but 154 is almost ready to go, which has some of these features into it. So, but yeah, I'll put my cell phone in here as well. So this is.
You're putting your cell phone in there?
Yeah, that's the business number. So that's me. So call, text, whatever. Otherwise, email. Any way I can be available. So update. No. So if you're on 1.5, it should just be a simple update. So the jump from 1.4 something to 1.5 something, I changed some of the inner core and some of the code language. So that'd be an uninstall, reinstall. But going forward, anything on 1.5 and above should just be a simple, the normal right click, run type piece. So yeah, no, I had to get some changes done. So I apologize for that friction. So there was a README. Most people didn't see it, but it is what it is. So but that did solve it with the uninstall, because the simple normal update process is a partial uninstall and go in. The full blown, if you uninstall it and put it in, it checks for all the prerequisites and stuff, and then everything works better. So.
Hey, Dan, also, you did you give your email?
I did not, so I can.
Yeah, throw your email out there, guys. If you want to see something, if you want to see Dan cover something in a future video in regards to like just a demo, let him know. And Dan, I'll work with you on that. We can put
Okay.
together something for our customers on, how to go about doing this. Thanks, Joe.
Print scan does not.
Charlie asked, does print scan? Okay.
No, it's purpose driven, and the drivers are purpose driven for the phallus or green bit DAC to scan 84. So which is the same as a couple other providers out there. So how many cans? So I mean, if you're getting the right margins on it, the pay for the system is probably 12 to 15. But we've also seen for the most part, people have more confidence and they go search and chase the business a little bit more because they know how to do it. So they can chase it quite a bit more. So, but we've seen a lot of people have more confidence and generate more business and revenue because they have the system and they know they can do it in, let's call it a half hour, 45 minutes, as opposed to the hassle of sending that person to the sheriff's office or rolling the own cards. Or if you got a trust where you have, say, 2 people on the trust and they buy 3 cans, you got to get 6 cards made and RPQs. So a lot of people have avoided the NFA stuff because it's too cumbersome and they don't have the confidence to do it. So, but it depends on where you're at, what margin. But I mean, if you should be swinging somewhere between 20 and 30 points on NFA items for the most part. So, yeah, appreciate that, guys. So, yeah, so Lakeside. It's hard to make that confidently because I don't log what you guys do, so I don't know if you're doing 5 EFTs or 1,000 EFTs. So I don't have access to that data purposely. I don't want access to that. The only thing I log back out is fatal crashes. So if there's an error, it catches it and sends me an anonymous type email with where it happened and what some of the reasons were. So, but yeah, I get lots of feedback from people I talk to that have given them the confidence to pursue and chase more business. Um, and that's not an outlier. It's more common than not. So I've also got plenty that have abandoned previous systems because they didn't want to deal with the BS and the politics of that system. And then I've had some print scan people, probably about 10 or so, come over just because it's faster, smoother, and it makes more sense as opposed to print scan not being up or the feedback not being fully valuable to the user they're trying to acquire. So, Mark, the legal answer is whatever's on the Appendix C of the FBI list are the validated official printers. I can give you an unofficial one, so on the side. So, but they're a decent quality laser has done the trick for me and many others. So, but the trick is to make sure you get the full driver pack downloaded. The Windows Universal Driver doesn't typically allow for custom page sizes, but if you download, say, the HP or the Brother or the Samsung full driver package, you can then modify the custom paper size to an 8x8, and we can make that work. So, but the legal answer is whatever's on the Appendix C of the FBI printer list. So, purchase shop.
I don't see anything else. Do you, Dan?
I don't. So.
Oh, something just popped up.
Desktop or laptop? Yeah. So I have it on a laptop. Many people have it on Surfaces. Some have it on desktops. I even have a handful that are on Macs that are bootstrapped or parallax, I think is the right word, into Windows machines. So parallels on the same. So yes and no. There's some nuances to where the data gets stored Lakeside. So there's a little bit of nuance. We have to work through some pieces of how it gets shared, whether it's Google Drive or some other stuff. The answer is as long as you're acquiring on one system and you may use the other. I've had some that are using it to submit on a different system. I'm okay with that. That makes sense to me. As long as you're not pirating it and putting out multiple systems. So.
Hey, Dan, thank you so. Got another one. Oh, gotcha. Thanks. Hey, Dan, thank you so much for being the rock star that you are, man. That was when that happened, I was like, I can't imagine what Dan. I'm to the point now where I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? I can't climb back in the computer, right? I just gotta figure out what's going on. And then I was like, Dan's probably just popped smoke and he's out of there. But you did really well, man.
It was actually peaceful and quiet when you weren't around. It was nice.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Hey, all future webinars will not include me. um, no, that's really good though. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I know it was kind of an impromptu feeling webinar. I think this is kind of the way to do it because you kind of get more you get more done when it's not scripted. I think when you're kind of just doing what you do every day, Dan. So, but Dan, be thinking about how you would like to do like maybe a 15 or 20-minute demo where
Okay.
you really go in and at a granular level and show customers, how to do what. And I will absolutely help you because I want to,
Okay.
obviously, I want our customers to have a good product to use and
Yep.
I want them to know how to use it. So
Perfect.
we'll work on that for sure. And you guys let Dan know what you want specifically covered. Also, when I do the, hopefully, Riverside is literally bugging me right now on their support. So as soon as I get off here, I'm going to go over there. Hopefully, I have a product to send out to everyone of this webinar. I don't know if I will. If I do, Dan, maybe you can send me some pictures of the actual unit,
Okay.
so we can include those in the replay.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dan, and yeah, thanks everyone. You had a lot of helpers in the chat, Dan. I mean, there's a lot of people that know your
Yeah.
stuff. That's really cool.
I recognize the first names on many of them, so that are popping up. So, and we work hard to keep that. So, we want to make sure you guys are successful.
Yeah.
And you have the tools to do it. So,
That's really awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us.
yeah.
I think our next webinar is probably going to be another 2-3 weeks, and we're just going to be basically talking to a customer about how he implements AI in his everyday life and his business. He's sort of like me. He's kind of just taken to it. He's been in the computer world way longer than me. He's not that much older than me, but he's been doing this a long time. So I think that will be a really fascinating conversation. Everybody seemed to like the last one we had in regards to AI. This stuff's fascinating. It's only getting scarier. And like I tell people, you better know how to prompt, right, to get the robot to do what you want it to do. But for us, you want to be able to prompt so that you can slow the robot down and kill it when it's time, right? A really good prompt a really good prompt will slow the robot down and really make it think. So you really want to learn how to do that. But yeah, so that will be in the next webinar. Thank you guys so much for putting up with the technical difficulties. Thank you for your questions and your interaction and your engagement. And thank you, Dan, for throwing a great webinar, man.
Thanks, Joel, for the opportunity. Appreciate it. So,
Absolutely. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.
all right. Thank you.